friends, welcome back to the Beat the Burnout series. This is video 3 of a 5-video series. We're going to talk about how to take a sabbatical without quitting your job, why quitting your job might be actually the better option, and creating a plan for whichever option you choose. If you're new here, I'm Leah. I'm an orthopedic surgery PA who quit my job a year ago to travel the world because I was drowning in burnout. And now, 10 months into my travels, I realized that a lot of you are in the same boat, and I'm hoping that I can help in some way. So this is what this video series is for. Be sure to download my free guide so you can follow along with the video series. If you haven't seen videos 1 and 2 already, I highly suggest that you go back and watch them. Video 1 is all about recognizing burnout, and video 2 is about giving yourself permission to pause. Today, we're going to talk about how to actually step away from work without completely blowing up your career. Before you make any real decisions, your first step is to check out your HR packet. When you got hired, you should have received a packet from Human Resources that kind of lays out, all of the logistics of your hire, including ways to take leave. Even though it's not fun, I promise this will be empowering, because the more you know and the more you understand what your options are, the more comfortable you are going to be when you do go into that meeting with your boss or your supervisor. And hidden in that HR packet is sometimes like the exact thing that will open the door to you taking a sabbatical, and you don't even know it. Okay, so here are some common policies you might find. First is an unpaid leave of absence. This is probably the most common way to take a sabbatical. It does usually require approval, but this is negotiable. More and more companies, hospitals, and even private practices, I've heard, have been writing in a sabbatical clause. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to negotiate. You could be the first person to do this and kind of lead the way for future employees. This is going to be unpaid, but that's okay, because we are going to go over how to budget for your sabbatical in the next video. So option 2 that's pretty common is paid time off or vacation stacking, using that PTO. This is probably going to be a shorter sabbatical, be about a 4 to 6 week break, but that doesn't mean it can't be meaningful. So if you can save your vacation and use it all at once, and that's what you want to do to have your sabbatical become a reality, I think that's totally fine. It might take some convincing, because, we have this stigma, especially in healthcare, that if you take more than 5 days off, everyone's all up in a tizzy. But stick with your plan. It's okay to take more than 5 days off at a time, as long as you do it properly and you set your practice and yourself up for success. I totally believe it's negotiable. All right, the third way to take time off is through FMLA. That's the Family Medical Leave Act. However, you cannot just go travel if you're taking FMLA. So FMLA is not the best option if you just want to take time off because you're burnt out and travel. It should be. It is in a lot of other countries. Case in point, Belgium actually gives their employees a year off at 70% pay for burnout. Getting comfortable talking about mental health and burnout as an actual diagnosis, yes, it's listed at ICD-10. We're going to have to do some negotiating here. So FMLA, probably not the best way to take an actual sabbatical. But if you're truly suffering from burnout, please go talk to your doctor. It doesn't mean you can go travel, but that doesn't necessarily mean you don't need it. Okay, another good option is temporary remote work. It's not going to be a true sabbatical where you're totally free, but temporary remote work can give you the freedom to live somewhere else. So in some cases, especially when there's telehealth available, you may be able to negotiate a location change or even an admin role for a few months. Here's a pro tip. If you feel nervous about asking for this time off, lead with mental health, because burnout is mental health. Let's normalize talking about this. Let's get comfortable talking about it and say what you need to say in a professional, organized way. All right, let's talk about resigning. Is this scary? Yeah. Do I regret it? Not for 1 second. Now let's address the big question. Should I quit my job? This is where the fear shows up. Let me normalize that for you. You are not reckless for thinking about leaving. You are smart for planning a path that will allow you to heal. So let's break down some common fears. What if I can't get a job again? Okay, let's be real here. We work in healthcare. And if you're watching this and you don't work in healthcare, I know this might be not applicable to you, but for those of us who work in healthcare, especially as physician assistants, we are in high demand and we are going to be in high demand for the foreseeable future. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you're burnt out, which probably means you're a hard worker. So I have a hard time believing you're not going to find a job when you get back. Might it take you a little longer than you think? Sure. But we will plan for that. I do want to say a little disclaimer here. I am not a certified financial coach. Any decisions that you make are your decision. This is me just guiding you based on my own experience. But remember, you are in demand, you are trained, valuable, and adaptable, and you will get a job. I believe in you. Question number 2 is, what if I need income? So I'm not asking you to have blind faith here. I'm asking you to have a plan. And that's what this sabbatical guide is all about. It's about having a plan and helping you feel comfortable doing what I did, leaving your job or taking a break and not going broke. So start building your financial safety net now. Another fear that I want to address is, what if it looks bad on your resume? In my opinion, this is just a mindset that needs to be shifted. Taking time off to travel or heal from burnout is not a bad thing. It won't look bad on your resume if you use the time well. Traveling is experience. You can also volunteer. You could take a course in something you've always wanted to learn about, or even just learning in general during your sabbatical can become standout resume material. You just need to frame it well. Lastly, what if I burn bridges? Okay. Taking time off doesn't burn bridges. Being unprofessional about it does. As long as you're respectful, honest, and you come in with a plan, you shouldn't burn any bridges. In my course, I walk you through exactly how to do this, and you get my full resignation kit where I give you some scripts to help with resigning, as well as my sabbatical pitch kit to help you in going into a meeting to negotiate a sabbatical. I found a quote recently that says, "If you're brave enough to say goodbye, life will reward you with a new hello." And I really liked it because a lot of people I talk to who have taken breaks, they've discovered like a new career path during their sabbatical. Even if they thought they were going to come back and go right back into the same field, a lot of them didn't. A lot of them changed and they're better for it now, or they're happier, or they have a better work-life balance. Because stepping away allows you to see what life would really be like if you did make the changes you've always wanted to make. All right, so it's time to create your sabbatical plan. You need a roadmap. Step 1, choose your move. Are you going to just take time off? Or are you going to resign? So decide, do you want a shorter break and come back to your job that gives you stability? Or do you want to resign and have the freedom of a longer break to do all the things you always wanted to do? There's no right answer. It's just whatever you feel most comfortable with. But I have to ask you, do you really want to go back to the job that burned you out to this point? Just take some time and reflect on that. Step 2, you're going to create a timeline. Even if this is just writing down some random dates right now, this can change, but I want you to start creating a timeline, at least in your mind. Pick a tentative sabbatical start date. This doesn't have to be perfect. This doesn't have to be set in stone. Just pick that date and start planning backwards from that. And step 3, prepare for a meeting. Once you research your options and you figure out what you're going to do, you're going to want to start preparing for a meeting with your supervisor. Again, you can use my sabbatical pitch kit or my resignation kit, which are both included as bonuses when you sign up for my course. But the most important things going into that meeting are know exactly what you want, know how long you want to take off, or if you want to resign, a time frame to give your boss or your supervisor, and have a solution. So obviously, if you're leaving for several months, their rebuttal is going to be, who's going to do your job? If you don't work in a hospital or a situation where you have other employees that can kind of cover you, you might need to get a little creative here. That might mean coming in with actual numbers, what it might cost them to fill your position while you're away with a locum tenens company. Be ready for those things. And another pro tip, be ready for a curveball, because when I went in to tell my boss that I was leaving, I had this whole speech planned, and he stopped me and said, "So you want to take a year off and come back?" Because I originally said I wanted to take about a year and travel, thinking like, obviously I have to resign, like nobody's going to hold my job for a year. But guess what? He was going to hold my job for a year. I didn't even consider that. And it was amazing that he gave me that choice. In the end, I decided to give up my position because, I wanted to feel like total freedom while I was gone. And I really didn't want a date that I had to absolutely return by. and I didn't want to leave him hanging. So I personally would rather have found somebody really, really good to fill my position, which I did. She's amazing. But yeah, just be ready for a curveball because you never know. That's a good curveball. There might be some not so good ones. You know your situation best. You know your supervisor or your boss best. You probably know about how they're going to react. If you think it's going to be negative, then be ready with statistics and plans. Be ready to face some pushback. All right, so final thoughts and takeaways. You can take time off without quitting. It is possible. However, resigning might offer more freedom and more options and opportunities. Make sure you review in detail your HR packet before you go into any meeting with anybody about this. And not only that, look into like the specifics of the laws around this stuff, because I don't want you to get in any type of trouble here. If you do decide to resign, do it with professionalism and confidence. And finally, have a clear, actionable plan for any conversation that may come along. Taking this step, whether it's a career break, a resignation, a short-term leave, is one of the most powerful things you can do for your mental health, your future, and your life. Drop a comment if this resonates, or share something you're worried about. Maybe I can help. My goal is to build a supportive community right here. I also have a Facebook group. It's free to join. I'll link it below. Feel free to message me, DM me with any questions you might have that you don't feel comfortable commenting. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss video 4 in my Beat the Burnout Sabbatical Starter series, where we'll get into exactly how to budget for a sabbatical. And while I know that you're smart enough to figure out how to take time off on your own, if you do want a more step-by-step guide and one-on-one coaching, definitely sign up for my course. You can use the link below to sign up now or learn more about it. Thanks for watching. I'm Leah, and I'll see ya in the next video.